Welcome. Thank you. And we have that recording going for everybody. Please share with us in the chat where you're joining from. Very nice. Pittsburgh. How's the weather in Pittsburgh? Jasper and Minnesota. Central California. Wonderful. Oakland, Columbus, Ohio. Oh, I love this. We are all over the nation. Oh, this is exciting. Welcome, welcome. I see some familiar names, familiar faces. That is the beautiful part about CSTA community. We are close, we are connected, we know one another. And if you are new to this space, welcome. Get connected. Thank you all. All right, everyone. Please join us in the chat. Share with us where you are joining from, and then tell us if it's cold there. Thank you, everybody. Memphis, Flagstaff. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So we have our recording going today. Welcome and welcome to the CSEdWeek official kickoff. My name is Justine Chavez Crispin, and I serve as the Professional Learning and Content Manager here at CSTA. My pronouns are she and her. For anyone joining without visuals, I'm a Hispanic woman with fair skin, brown hair, and large brown-rimmed glasses. Today, I'm wearing a gray sweater featuring our CS Hero text in the CS Ed Week colors, light blue, orange, and green. Stick around till the end, and I will tell you how you can get your hands on one of these cozy sweaters. So we'll get started. Welcome again. Please share with us in the chat where you are joining us from. We here at CS EdWeek and CSTA continuously strive for the best barrier-free design. It is vital. These features aren't just add-ons. They are lifelines. These lifelines ensure everyone, regardless of their ability, can fully engage and benefit from the presentation. We emphasize the use of closed captions. You will also see large high contrast text that brings each slide to life for people facing hearing and vision challenges. These innovations break down barriers. Accessibility is about equity. It's about ensuring that technology includes everyone. Because when everyone can participate, we all benefit from the diverse perspective and talents they bring. As each of us continue to design, to build, and use technology, let's prioritize accessibility. At CST, we are committed to building a strong, supportive community that is safe and positive for everyone's experience. You can check out the CSTA accessibility page, which outlines the commitment to equity-driven leadership, detailing how organizations are working to ensure that resources and events are accessible. You can check that out at csteachers.org/accessibility. Accessibility is all about inclusion. So, speaking of inclusion and everyone and engagement and getting connected, let's talk a little bit about our social media channels. When you post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, X, be sure to use the hashtag CSEdWeek. I was in there just today looking at CSEdWeek 2025. Let me tell you, we have so many people already posting. I just want to shout out to La Jolla ISD. We see your post out there. Absolutely. Wonder Workshop, they're doing some great things for CS Ed Week and so many more. I'm sure that we have so many amazing teachers also posting on there. I'm thinking, hey, where are my good friends, my equity fellows that are posting on there? So please, we want to highlight and celebrate the great things happening across the country. So make sure, use the hashtag. Let's build the momentum. Share with us your activities, your achievements, your celebrations. So let's spread this joy. If you're wondering, okay, how do I even do that? Where do I start? Take those amazing things that are happening in your school, your organization, your classroom, drop them in with a picture, and add any of these simple sentence starters. My aha moment was, what connected with me was, I want to learn more about dot, dot, dot. Yep. Together, all of these stories amplify the impact of CSEd Week. They bring the inspiration, not just to your community, but to others. And so we want to talk about how we can get more engaged together. Up next, I want to highlight our Computer Science Ed Week sponsors. Big thank you to our CS Ed Week partners. First, huge shout out to our premier sponsor, Amazon Future Engineers. If you haven't gone to the AFE website and checked out all the resources, please do. We want to shout out to them and their entire team. They swoop in with unmatched strategy and unwavering commitment to education, proving no challenge is too big to overcome. Learn more about their career tours, their free training, curriculum, and their scholarship and internship program. That one's open from now until January 15th. Share it with your students. We also want to give a big shout out to our incredible supporting sponsors who bring their own amazing superhero powers to the table. First, I want to shout out to the lifelong CSEdWeek CSTA partner, ACM, the world's largest computing society, bringing together educators, researchers, and professionals to inspire dialogue, share resources, tackle challenges in computing. With 100,000 plus members worldwide, ACM leads the way in promoting excellence, lifelong learning, and global collaboration in computer science. We also have Endless. Endless is empowering the next generation. Check them out. Turning passion into skills, skills into opportunity. They are giving students the tools and pathways to thrive in an innovative space where students can shift from consumers to creators, right? Those are the goals. And also, we are honored to partner with Infosys, whose foundation, the Infosys Foundation, champions education, healthcare, empowerment, and sustainability, creating meaningful opportunities for underprivileged communities and driving lasting social impact. Big thank you to our partners for their support and being behind the efforts. Now let's get into what we focus on in this week. This week is about the celebration of CSEd Week, which was first launched by the ACM in 2009, which created space for this remarkable annual tradition and pays homage to the pioneering legacy of the one and only Grace Hopper. Born December 9th, 1906, as the inventor of the first compiler and who famously coined the term bug, Hopper's contributions have paved the way for generations. Then in 2013, Code.org inspired Hour of Code, we know Hour of Code, initiative that inspired Hour of Code initiative. The event took a transformative leap, engaging 15 million students and hosting over 35,000 events across 167 countries. By 2019, the celebration has evolved with the introduction of the Computer Science Hero program, offering students to learn about influential figures of amazing and diverse backgrounds. This celebration serves as a powerful reminder of how far we've come and continue to inspire future leaders. This year marks a new tradition. We are excited to share with you the addition of the Rising Heroes program. So hang in with us. I'll tell you more about that next. So as we move on into our mission, Computer Science Education Week is more than just a celebration. It's a call to action to inspire K-12 students to dive into the world of CS. As educators, as advocates, and CS leaders, we ask ourselves, how can we ensure every student, regardless of background, has access to these crucial skills and opportunity? The answer lies in the spaces we create. Just like this space here and now, It is so important that we create spaces that engage, that celebrate, and that uplift the incredible contributions of our students, our teachers, just like you all, our partners who are helping to shape the future of technology and computer science. So I want you to think, how are you going to create the space this week? How will you show up? How will you show off? And how will you do that with this year's theme? Oh, I'm so excited for this year's theme. This year, we are focusing on how computer science powers AI innovation. AI might be the headline, but computer science is the story. From algorithms to ethics, CS gives students the tools to not just react to the future, but to shape it. As AI continues to transform our world, understanding CS fundamentals isn't just an advantage anymore, it's essential. That's why this Computer Science Week, we are highlighting the power of CS to unlock creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving. When we equip our students with these skills, we're not just preparing them for the future, we're helping them to lead it. Speaking of leadership and inspiration, I'm excited to take this next moment to celebrate heroes and rising heroes who are helping to shape this movement. Let me introduce to you the 2025 CSEdWeek heroes. Starting from left to right, we have Irene Lee, a research scientist at New Mexico State University, a distinguished scholar at the Education Development Center. Irene leads innovative work around the intersection of education, computational thinking, and artificial intelligence. Next up, Suchi Grover is a globally recognized learning scientist and computer science education research who pioneering work is computational thinking and AI literacy, which continues to influence how educators shape CS learning worldwide. In the center here, we have Dr. Cynthia Brazil. She is a pioneering researcher, educator, and entrepreneur whose work bridges together robotics, artificial intelligence, and human-centered design. As a professor of the media arts and science at MIT and founder of the personal robot group at MIT Lab, she's widely recognized as a founding figure in social robotics and human robotics interaction. Up next, meet Evan Sheath, Executive Director and AI Research of the Young Data Scientist Leagues. Evan's work centers on culturally relevant AI and data science education, empowering thousands of underserved K-12 students to use data to improve their own communities. And last but definitely not least, we have Mahmoud Harding, Instructional Design Director of Data Science for Everyone at the University of Chicago. Mahmoud is advancing data science education for all K-12 learners, building on his experience as a teacher and program designer to connect data, mathematics, and opportunity. Each of these leaders remind us that when we blend innovation, computer science, and the love of education, we can truly empower the next generation. Before we get into our panel with some of our amazing heroes, I want to talk a little bit about this next generation. We're excited to shine a light on the students and educators who are already making a mark in computer science. As I mentioned, CSEdWeek is proud to announce for the first time our Rising Heroes program. Our Rising Heroes celebrate creativity, curiosity, and collaboration of those shaping the future for CS. Each hero is recognized with a personalized cartoon style poster that captures their unique personality, story, and impact. Here is just a peek of a few of those rising heroes. Join us tomorrow with your students. This is all about getting that student voice out there to chat with these inspiring individuals. Each of the heroes was nominated by one of our CS heroes, and they continue to uplift and empower their community. So, without further ado, we've given a shout out to our rising heroes. Now it's time to hear from our CS heroes themselves in our panel discussion. Our panel discussion is going to share the insights of how AI and CS are transforming education. Let me begin this discussion by welcoming our moderator, Jake Baskin, the Executive Director of the Computer Science Teachers Association, the world's largest leading organization for K-12 computer science teachers. Under his leadership, CST has grown from near insolvency to a thriving community of over 20,000 members and 95 chapters worldwide, expanding its professional learning programs to reach 5,000 educators annually and securing more than 25 million in new funding. A former Chicago Public Schools computer science teacher and department chair, Jake worked to expand access for underrepresented students, doubling female enrollment in classes. Before joining CSTA, he served as the director of state government affairs at code.org, partnering with states to advance equitable CS education policies nationwide. Jake, thank you for moderating today. Jake?
Thank you, Justine. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us here today, both our panel, but most importantly, honestly, the many CSTA members I see in the audience and folks who I know are thinking of the many ways that they'll be celebrating CSEdWeek this year. I'm so glad that you could join us. Um, and also, I'll just say thanks to everyone for putting up with the cold that I'm trying to get over. So if I have to pause and cough, that is what's happening. But I am here, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you all our wonderful panel for today. First up, Mahmoud Harding. Mahmoud is committed to making data literacy and data science accessible for every K-12 student across all subjects. His work with CSTA on the data and analysis, his work with excuse me, data science for everyone in the I'm really having trouble reading today. Let me try again. His work with CSTA on our data and analysis standards and on the national learning progressions for K-12 data science helps define how data and skills grow from early grades through high school. Also joining us today is Dr. Randy Williams. Dr. Williams has spearheaded initiatives like PopBots, Preschool AI Literacy Toolkits, and MI Raises AI Playground. In her current role at Day of AI, she empowers thousands of K-12 educators worldwide to learn AI with their students. Randy's research in human, robot, and AI interaction creates sustaining bridges between communities and technology to drive innovation. And to round out our panel, we have Evan Shi. Evan is an AI ethics researcher and educator whose work is shaped by diverse multicultural communities. His research bridges STEM and the humanities, exploring the challenges and insights that come from multiple perspectives. He's especially proud of the youth voices shaping this work through the Young Data Scientists League. So thank you all for joining us, and I'm excited to jump in with our first question, and it's a big one. I'd love to hear, how is AI really reshaping the ways that we live, work, and learn right now?
Hello. I'm gonna jump in. I'm Randy. I hope you can see me. Hi, everyone. First off, amazing to be here. It's so great. I think to join CSTA to talk to teachers who I'm sure have no shortage of ways that they've seen AI reshaping their world, right? My personal story getting into this work. So I've been doing AI education for 10 years, right? And it started with the robots that are here in my picture. Those are called pop bots. And I was a student at the time of our new CS hero, Cynthia Brazil, so working in the personal robots group. And what happened was I was using these social robots to help young children around Boston in preschool learn how to read and write. So I'd take this fuzzy robot to school. And um, one of the times I was taking this robot to a school and I was like telling the girl who I was working with, hey, you're gonna work with this robot, it's gonna help you learn stories. And the girl stopped me and was like, oh, no, it's okay. You don't have to explain. I have an Alexa at home. She's my best friend. And I'll explain to you how your robot works. And then proceeded to show me how my robot worked. And so when we think about how this is reshaping the way we live, work, and learn, like this was a girl who was learning how to read and write, but decided that Alexa was her best friend and knew everything about robots and was just like truly like swimming in it, right? Like living in the life. And that's the reality that we're growing up in. Now we're way past Alexa, right? That's not AI to a lot of us anymore. We have ChatGPT. It's just part of students' lives. And even beyond the consumer things like social media, it's also showing up more and more in our cities, like in our environments. So I guess more of the lore is I've worked with the Algorithmic Justice League, talking to students about how it's used in their schools. Is it for surveillance? Is it for a class? And what are some of the, uh, I guess you'd say, socioeconomic divides that decide that? I've talked to students in Chicago from Jake's hometown. Or I don't know if it's your hometown, your current town. Is that more accurate?
Both, both.
Both.
Chicago keeps us all forever, you know?
Won't let you go. Can't find the way out. And I had teachers there, specifically computer science teachers, who were saying, this is in our city, and I want my students to learn about it. So it's just become so central to what we are facing. And I just think the work for us is, okay, how do we not have it shape us, but how do we shape it? And like, how do we give our students those tools to be able to do it? So great to be with you all and to open up with that.
Jake, I'd like to add one thing about the way
Please, yeah.
AI is changing the way we live. So I listened to this really cool podcast on NPR called Just Asking for a Friend. And I'm going to put it in the chat. And I would suggest that everyone go and take a listen to it because two different researchers studied this ONET database about jobs in the US and the skills required. And they were tasked to develop a metric to see which jobs were safe, which jobs would AI enhance, which jobs would AI replace. And I thought it was really interesting that these two different researchers had slightly different conclusions from looking at the same information. So I think my perspective on AI reshaping the way that we work in particular is that it's emerging. And as things continue to change, roles will develop that weren't here, roles that are here will shift, and the skills that people will need are going to be ongoing. And the idea of continuous learning will be ever more present in our society.
I love I love that. Thank you. And also I think there's so many early conclusions being drawn about how jobs will change that I think are a little early on actually understanding how this is going to change what the world looks like. Um, Next, Evan, I think you can start off with this question, but I'd love to hear from your perspective and how you're thinking about data about what ways computational thinking can help students approach real world problems that AI aims to solve.
Thanks, Jake, and thank you, everyone. It's just so great to be here, and huge shout out to everyone who chose to spend your evening and afternoon chatting with us indoors, hopefully. Yeah, I just love that framing that y'all had at the beginning, where it's actually computer science is the real story, right? And I couldn't echo that more on this exact question of computational thinking. We were just talking before folks join, like CS has really been around for a long time. AI has been around for a long time, and I think what happens to get lost, what we also see in the history of this term AI is that it was kind of invented to essentially get more money and investments for an idea that might even predate the usage of that term, right? Simply put, I think CS is in the business of just studying automation technologies. Um, that can be used for good, it can be used for evil, it can be a little bit of both sometimes. And so I feel like grounding our thinking in terms of like computational thinking, thinking about the ethics of when should we automate something, in what ways can it be done, and more importantly, just demystifying, right? AI is not just this alien intelligence that's going to be hyper intelligent or take your jobs or make your students have worse economic prospects in the future, but something that's instantiated in code, expressed using logic. And for the parts that aren't scrutable in logic, I can go on for this for days, but a lot of it just boils down to middle school math, you know? But that's not what Wall Street wants to tell you, but that's something that's important for you and for your kids to know because something I go when I go into districts is to understand like, look, y'all are actually the AI experts. Don't let someone come in and try to sell you when they don't know anything about your community or anything about your district, I could say more, but yeah, that's my brief thought. So just yeah, all of you here, like you already understand a lot more about AI than you might think.
I love that, and the reframe to the sort of study of automation technologies as well, I think is a nice way to put into perspective the historical context of what this looks like and how folks have tried to automate different aspects of the world at different periods. Um, I think a lot of what gets wrapped up in AI is talk about data as well. And Mahmoud, I'd love to hear from you about how data science powers AI and how do we actually teach students to think about and critically analyze the data that is fueling many of the systems that are becoming part of the world that they live in.
So one of the things that I often talk about is this idea that sort of underneath generative AI, I like to talk about sort of five key touch points that are aligned with data science, data literacy. The one first one is like use case alignment. So Gen AI tools are only as good as the data they were trained on. So that's text, that can be mathematics, images, sensor inputs. One of the unique uses I saw for AI was a district in Pennsylvania used AI on school buses to capture license plates and descriptions of drivers who drove past the stop sign. And that use case, enabling them to quickly hand out fines, reduced that act from happening substantially. We can also talk about AI in terms of data about error checking. uh, General AI models can produce errors, so there is this need for domain-specific knowledge. Of course, there's ethics and bias. We can talk about custom AI tools. Like when we say generative AI, it's not one thing fits all. I listened to a story just yesterday about Gen AI models that are being used by recruiters to do the first interview for potential candidates for jobs, and how the interviewees felt more comfortable talking to the AI than a human because they felt like maybe some visual bias wouldn't be taken into account. And then there's customization. So as these tools become more prominent, as people gain more skills, they're going to want to customize them for use in their own life. And so when I think of like this AI literacy, the thing that I read a few days ago, and I'm going to put it in the chat, talks about how AI literacy is interdisciplinary and is made up of many literacies, data being one of them, math being one of them. And so this is an entryway for all subject areas to connect their subject to data, which then connects to computation, which then connects to things like ethics and bias, which then connects to things like CS. And then you have this natural way to go into talking about AI within your content area.
I love calling out how interdisciplinary this can be. I think it often gets framed as if there's some competition between subjects right now and who's going to get to teach what and when. And that just puts more pressure on teachers as opposed to highlighting the ways that this can support a lot of the collaboration that we know is great for students and can lead to more meaningful learning experiences for everyone involved as well. So I know a lot of folks here, and I hear this all the time, are looking at ways to begin teaching AI topics. Randy, I'd love to start with you on hearing about where's a good place that you could start within existing CS curriculum.
Yeah, and I just wanted to echo what you said again, that right now it's like we're putting all of this extra pressure on teachers to figure this out. And as Mamu had said, like it's not all new. Like, we have all of these subjects that we already teach that have these touch points. And so it's just a matter of how do we figure that out and go more into it. So in my work, what I've been doing for the past several years, but even more intentionally now, is working on K-12 AI curriculum. So I started with my preschoolers. We're now working our way all the way up to the high schoolers of how do we explain AI? How do we integrate it with computer science and math and civics and all of those other subjects? And quite a bit of it is taking what we already do and adding the AI connection and the AI extension. So if we're going to talk about machine learning, well, first we have to talk about logic. Like, what are the if-else rules? How is that different than learning by just seeing examples? Or we already talk about impacts of computing and what that might look like for your next college admissions situation or your next job hire. There are important questions about ethics where we can look at the data that's behind it and how those decisions are made. A project that I love and would love for other people to explore is the Raise AI Playground. So the Media Lab where I did my studies, they created Scratch, and so I invented a version of Scratch where you can bring in your little AI tool and use it right there. So you're already building a robot or you're already building a game. So how about you train an image classifier and then you can use that image classifier inside your Scratch project and add a little bit of AI and go a little bit under the hood and see how that's going. And so that kind of work exists and it's out there. Um, I feel like I should have links ready, like Mama did, but I don't. At least I will say you could go to dayofai.org and see some of it. But what a lot of those connection points end up looking like is students just looking at real data sets, looking at, weather or their social media, like what's coming up in their news feed, and actually being able to dig into that and pick it apart. And teachers helping them make the connection to say, did you know that this is computer science back here? Like that's what's happening behind the scenes. Um, so yeah, again, like you can, thank you so much, Crystal, for the help there. So raise.mit.edu is where we're keeping all of the different projects that we have, playing around with how we can actually introduce this and actually put it in students' hands and in teachers' hands so they can put it in students' hands as well. But there's so many connection points. Like that's what we keep seeing. Absolutely.
I love that. And this idea that a data set doesn't have to be big data. There's data that is incredibly personal to you, that is motivating, that is right in front of you. I have to give exploring computer science a shout out for a second. And when I was teaching that curriculum, there was a project where students would collect data about what rooms in the school they were, how they felt in each room, happiness wise. And you could compile that all, and all of a sudden, people realized that what they thought was this like meaningless data became potentially personal. Like, what did it mean that all of a sudden we knew which room was collectively the least happiest in the school or the most happiest, and what, how did people think about it? Like, there's so many opportunities to engage folks with that data that's right next to them and that is actually about their lives. That's so much fun.
I have to ask which room was the least happy. What
Well,
I know the cafeteria was the most happy, but
you
where's
are
the least
absolutely
happy?
right about the most happy. And I will say the least happy shifted. There wasn't like an obvious answer.
I like that. I like that. Little noise in the data. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Um, so another question, yeah. Very nice, Evan. Another question that I hear all the time and that I think is really always throughout history, a hard question to answer, but is, what advice would you give to students who want to pursue careers that are at the intersection of all these things that we're talking about? Computer science, data, AI. Um, Maybe Evan, I'll go to you first, but would love to hear what advice you'd give on that question.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to echo what you just said, Jake, about how data can be used. I think Randy and Mahmoud mentioned this as well. But I think the current educational pathways, and I tell a lot of people, like, I'm a recovering math nerd, if you're following in the chat. Like, I kind of went through this whole just career arc, where it was like we were forced to take calculus, and I was really interested in machine learning. I had torn my ACL when I was like a freshman in college, and so I was just like, I want to be on the basketball court. Long story short, got pitched on this idea to work with a friend on like how to build like an AI classifier to improve my jump shot. We weren't doing it for like any sort of like marketability, and more so like the fact that I just couldn't afford to get like a coach or anyone to like help me recover from my injury. But somehow that landed me in the field, got me a job, and I really feel like I lucked out. But as part of that process, I feel like one of the things I discovered, and my students are in the act of discovering this too right now, is that a lot of what you actually learn in the classroom isn't what you apply when you're actually on the job. A lot of what you actually need is how do you actually work across the disciplines, right? Like Mahmoud, to your point about AI literacy, right? Being multidisciplinary. How do you like engage with and get the humanities and the STEM folks to talk to each other, right? And I think AI is one of those challenges that really forces you to have to use those multiple worldviews. And the other thing I'll also add is that something that really gets slept on in the current AI and CS curriculum is not just how you build the tools, but how you evaluate them, right? What are the impact that they're having on real people from different communities? How do you actually design tests that measure what you're doing well, right? So I think those are two of the biggest and most slept on skills, talking to people who are different than you and knowing how to be critical evaluators of, yeah, whatever technology comes your way. And so you'll be able to use a lot of basic methods that we already teach in K-12 to be able to do that.
I would add one other thing to that, and this has nothing to do with anything in terms of school, but get interested in life. So, like many, just like Evan mentioned, he was trying to solve a life issue, and then he turned to things in academia to help him with that problem. And so, when you think of AI being multidisciplinary, if you like to do research and write about things, there's ethics, there's governance, if there's policy for people who are interested in government and public service, there's tech for people who are interested in building tools and evaluating tools. And even within tech, just like Evan said, there's testing, there's evaluating, there's deployment. And then if you want to even get into the thing where you like things about philosophy, what are the philosophical things? Should this machine do it, or should the human do it, or should it be a combination of the two? I don't think that there's anything that a student can be interested in that's a part of their life or something to deal with some hobbies or interests they have where they can't connect it to something that will eventually lead to data, which will eventually lead into AI. And there's this continuum of jobs that you can do along this spectrum where you're not working because you're doing something you enjoy. I often joke and say I get paid to do what I would do anyway, to try to show people how to do things that seem complicated. So I don't work. I just kind of hang out and people offer me money.
If you're doing the
I
right
really love
job,
that.
you
Yeah.
never work a day in your life, right? But I just want to highlight what both Evan and Mahmoud are saying because it is that interdisciplinary thinking. We have this one curriculum that I was able to work with students in high schools around Boston, and it was about art and AI. And all the artists were like, "What do you mean art and AI? Like, get that out of here. We don't want any of that." Artists, they embody a craft. We can't have technology taking that over. But as part of that curriculum, we had them go behind the bot, actually understand how it works, how it learns, and they started seeing themselves as still artists, but like artists who are empowered with technology. They're like, oh, we can take this further. We can critique it better. We have the knowledge that we need. And students need to know that there's something for them in life, and in technology. And if we can take it to a personal side a little bit as well, I have to apologize. I didn't do my description of who I am, but I'm a Black woman. I have braids that are a little bit too long, so I tied them up. And and I have a PhD in AI, and I'm going to be a professor next year, at Carnegie Mellon in the CS department. And y'all, the stats are there are 80 Black people who are CS professors in our country. That's it. I'm 81, maybe. I don't know. And maybe the numbers changed a little bit. And how you get there, like how you help your students get there is by telling them that their existence is necessary. The ways that they represent who they are, the interests that they have are all required. Like even whether you're a math person or not, they're all required to really shape the future that we want. So your artists, your activists, your musicians, right? All of them have to be a part of building the culture. And I'll just give an AJL shout out. Dr. Timney Gabriel always says, my existence in this field is resistance. Not resistance like pushing against it, but resistance like I'm creating the friction that helps it go further. So just really that motivation that we have to offer our students to say that, this field needs your voice, you belong here, like that's huge. That's really going to make a difference for them. And then yes, then teach them the way, show them how, get them in there. Absolutely.
I love these answers, and I know we are coming up on time. So one last question, and I would love for everyone on the panel to share, we have a room full of teachers. If you could give them one call of action for preparing their students for an AI-powered future, what would it be? Maybe Mahmoud, I'll put you on the spot first here.
Uh, just reflecting back on what was said earlier, adopt the mindset that AI literacy is interdisciplinary. And when you get back to your home school, go down the hallway, go to a different department, find someone who's not in your department, read through something that's AI literacy together, and come up with a project. I believe that teachers are the ones who are creative and that the rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, I'll jump in with a specific next step, building off of this use the code.org curriculum. So I'm a big fan of mirrors and windows. Students have to see themselves in the field, and then they also have to see where they can go. And so up here at MIT, it's cold now. It'll be nice in the summer, I promise. We're actually hosting a festival where we're inviting students from around the country to come. And we have several events. One is AI Live, so that's performance dancers, those musicians. One is AI and civics. So students are going to come and debate a bill around AI and how it should be used. One is AI and art, which I already talked a little bit about. It's a really fun curriculum where students envision the world. And then one is AI for a better world. So again, you have to go to dayofai.org to fully get the link. But if you have your students see that they can literally be part of shaping the future now, it's only going to help them as they take next steps and go further. And for me, those little opportunities to step into spaces like MIT and say, oh, okay, I belong here. I can do this. This is great. I really, really hope to see you all and your students there next July when it's warm. Don't come now. It's too cold, for sure.
Yeah, echoing what Randy and Mahmoud both said, emphasize the lived experiences that you have, as well as those of your students. Definitely ask for forgiveness, not for permission. There's a lot of stuff going on in this field right now. A lot of people trying to sell you tools to make you feel like there's a sense of FOMO that you need to hop on the bandwagon or your students won't get left behind. But just coming from someone who's been in the industry for a long time, there's no world in which no amount of human oversight is necessary. And in fact, a lot of the harms that you might read about that the industry is pushing right now have come from that mindset of hey, we can just take data that's out there on the web, for the taking, that I can train an AI bot on Reddit comments, YouTube comments, and now turn that into a tutor in the classroom. No, your job is very much needed. So take a deep breath, accept that you have something to bring, and also, yeah, highlight the lived experiences of your students and get them to critique these tools.
Amazing. I love this. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. I know that everyone in this room is going to have a very busy summer because they'll be at Day of AI. They'll be with us in New Orleans for CSTA 2026. There's a lot of fun planned. I can't wait to see you all there. I just want to end by calling out none of our panelists just said prepare your students for a particular job, right? I think so often the world pushes onto us that the purpose of education is just about preparing you for work. And I know that isn't what inspired me to teach. I know that isn't what was in the minds of my high school students, much less elementary or preschool students. And the biggest skill I think everyone can provide looking into this is sparking that curiosity for learning and thinking about how this is a joy that you can bring throughout the rest of your life. So I just want to say a huge thank you to our panel. It's been wonderful getting to hear a little bit about what you all are working on and what advice you have to share with everyone. And I'll turn it back over to Justine.
Thank you, Jake. And thank you all for jumping in, for joining us. Thank you to our panel speakers who have had such amazing insight. If y'all are keeping up in this chat, you have a plethora of resources. Before I let you all go, I want to take a minute. I'm going to share my screen again here, make sure that, let me close this out so y'all don't see my notes. I want to share with you what we have coming your way during the rest of the week. We have some amazing, amazing resources for you. If you love what you have heard here today from our panels, we have a podcast with exclusive interviews from our heroes. And it's something that you can listen to on your drive, you can share with your students. Check it out. Sign up for the One Voice in CS, CSTA's Equity Fellow podcast. These are conversations that you'll get to dive into the heart of their journey, explore how they inspire others, and highlight some of their latest projects, achievements, along with multiple ways to get to these. You can join in on SoundCloud, Spotify,
And
Apple Podcast.
Justine, sorry to jump in, but just wanted to let you know your presenter view is up. So I don't know if everyone can
Oh,
see the amazing logo for our podcast.
there we go.
Perfect.
Is that better? Awesome. Thank you guys. So check those out. Join in those podcasts. We have quite a few already existing podcasts that you can catch up on, and those interviews are going to drop here in the near future. But it doesn't end there. The fun doesn't end there. We have so many CSEdWeek events coming up. Use the QR code in the upper right-hand corner to scan the upcoming events. Tomorrow, we have that midday session with the celebration of our rising heroes, that student voice, those student heroes that are going to share with you what it's like to be in high school, in college, doing the work, being part of the action. So jump on, scan the code to get signed up for that. We also have on Wednesday some dual action excitement. We have two events coming up. We will be talking about the 2025 CS Teacher Landscape Survey, and that will be one whole session. And then later, we are going to have the AI and beyond updates to the 2026 CSTA standards. These are really great ways to get involved and learn more about what is coming down the pipeline for CS teachers, how you can start to think about those standards that we are going to be releasing. We'll have that full release at conference, so make sure you join us then. But get in on the action now. What you are going to see in those are going to be tools and resources to carry these conversations, not just in your classroom, but in your school. I'm sure that every computer science teacher here is thinking, how is this going to affect my classroom? How do I champion this conversation to my principal, to my my community, my team, to my district? Join us for these so we can start to help you get prepared for carrying those conversations, being part of those conversations, and integrating those resources. Then on Thursday, we have the AI in Action series with our newest AI fellows. They are going to be coming in and sharing with you more about those standards, the AI priorities. They have resources, conversation tools, and each and every single one of them are teachers in the classroom, just like all of you. They are out there talking about what this integration is going to look like. They are putting in the time, the effort, the energy to make sure that they can help deliver resources, tools, tips, tricks to you all. And so that one's on December the 11th. And then we wrap up the week, December 12th, with the AI Advocacy Community of Practice. This is an amazing event that we are taking teachers, advocates, partners, community members coming together for conversation, insight, resources. How do we move the needle together as a larger community? How do we support one another? I will say that in the state of our of education of our world, the best thing that we can do is get connected, supporting one another, helping one another, getting out those resources, and making sure that you all have connected with not just each other, but with our panel speakers, with our larger community. So make sure you scan the code to check that out. Up next, and last but not least, we want to share with you guys how you get a hold of some of this amazing swag. I absolutely love this CS Ed Week Hero sweatshirt. You can find this on the CS Ed Week in our merch store. There's a sale going on right now. Any of you that love a good sale, that is happening. But I highlight this not just for you to go buy a sweatshirt and have a sweatshirt to wear during CS Ed Week, but we have posters that you can get put up for your classroom? How do you produce that low-hanging fruit? Where can we show up and show off? Getting those posters out, helping students see those faces and those voices, those different perspectives, people that look like them, people that are in their interests, all of those are there. We also have so many great bags, resources, posters. If you need a speaker for your classroom, we've got one of those in there. Please jump in there, check them out. Get excited to celebrate with us in this way. All right, y'all. This for us does wrap up our CSEdWeek session, but I also want to pause for just a minute and turn over to our community. We have our heroes here, and I know that we are wrapping up, but do we have any questions that we want to address with our heroes? I know this is kind of on the fly, but I saw some really great, thoughtful things coming through the chat, and I want to give everyone a chance to share out or to highlight anything that they have thought about. So I'm going to pause for just a minute. We've got a lot of thank yous, lots of fantastic. We'll pause for just a minute and see if anyone has any thoughts or questions or need any support in getting connected with our resources. Yes, thank you all. All right. Um, all right, thank you all. We're going to hang on for just a couple more minutes, but thank you all for joining us here tonight. If you have any questions or would like to figure out how to get connected with any of us, please stick around. We are happy to answer questions and get you connected. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your CS Ed week. We will see you for our future events. Thank you all. Good night.